Hello, everyone. Right now, we are in the design thinking session, part of the whole seminar. As you know, I'm Sanjay Yadgirkar, BVB alum, 98 batch. And I want to hand it over to Virupaksh Mirji. He's also BVB alum. Virupaksh, why don't you take it from here?
Yeah. Hi, guys. This is an exciting time. We are all coming together to start off a hackathon journey. I myself am from 1989 batch, Electronics and Communications, BVB. And now you're part of a bigger, larger organization, the KLE Technology Organization. And your vision or motto is creating value, leveraging knowledge. So today we are going to talk about some special knowledge that you need to be successful in all your innovations that you do. So let me get started. I currently work for Infosys. You can see my LinkedIn profile or Twitter profile and you'll see all the details there. I work in Infosys as an innovation leader, consulting leader for my domain, communications, media, entertainment. And I'm going to talk to you about the various aspects of desirability, viability, and feasibility, and how you attract all the innovation skills together to create true experiential innovation. As you can see here, this is experience, and there's process innovation, there's technology innovation, and emotional innovation. So we're going to talk about all that today. So let's start with the process first. What is the process that we need to follow?
Right.
This is the Stanford D School design thinking process. It follows through 5 stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And there are links here you see underneath under the slide deck. We'll send you the slide deck, and that link leads you to certain video clips that you can experience on your own if you're struggling to understand certain concepts. But I'll give you a quick introduction in the next 20 minutes about design thinking. And I'll start that with a short video clip that we have from the design school here in Stanford. So I hope you can hear this.
Design thinking is a methodology for innovation that brings creativity into the way we define and solve problems. The design thinking process starts with developing empathy for the people you're designing for and really understanding their needs and goals. This will allow you to define concrete, actionable problems. And for a design thinker, problems are opportunities for innovation. Once you have identified an opportunity, you will unleash your creative thinking to come up with many possible solutions. Prototyping and testing will allow you to hone in on those solutions that are the most impactful and address a real need. Design thinking can be applied to drive innovation of products and services, but most importantly, can also profoundly impact our way of working across many different contexts. In this online course, you will experience design thinking firsthand by tackling a real-world challenge. Along the way, we will provide you with the inspiration and tools you need using short video scenarios and exercises for each stage of the process. As you work on your design thinking challenge, you will have the opportunity to connect with other course participants to
So I hope that gives you a quick idea of the thinking process. It's just a 1-minute clip, but now we'll go through the various stages and we'll give you some examples. So
Awesome.
Yes, Sanjay, any suggestion, any addition?
No. I think that was a short and very, very crisp video. Really liked it.
Okay, great. Excellent. So let's look at the mindset behind this. This is the mindset we need to keep in mind. Basically, when we are thinking about design thinking, why are we doing it? And
right.
There's a reason for that. There's a reason because typically when developers or programmers think about solving a problem, they think about the technology part first. But in this particular case, we need to think about the human-centered design here. What is that human doing? What is the emotion they are experiencing? And what is it that we are truly trying to solve? So it starts with experience focus, customer experience focus. Then you end up interviewing people. It will reveal certain insights. You listen to them. You empathize with those people and come up with some kind of a team solution that really is completely different from what you could imagine before. So keeping this in mind, I'm going to go to the next slide, which is the first step, which is empathizing, right? And when you want to empathize, there are different methods you can deploy and avail. As you can see here, We have an empathizer's mindset, which is very open in nature. Think of it like a child's mindset. Somebody who looks at things in a very fresh way, and essentially looks at different observations, different points of views, and researches that completely before defining the problem. And design thinking is important from that angle, because most of the times as programmers or developers, we jump directly into solutioning or designing without thinking about the person involved.
Right.
So this is probably the biggest difference, design thinking. And, it starts with this basic step of identifying who you met, who are you interviewing, what you were amazed to realize, and what would be game changing, what would be different for creating a new experience for this particular problem set that you have. So that's how you start off. And I think I'm going to let, Sanjay talk a little bit about how he experienced this in his past life in a startup where he used some of these techniques from D School. So Sanjay, why don't you just explain how these tools are practically used?
Absolutely right. So one thing is what the empathy map or the empathy is part of the whole problem is to wear the user's hat. Really understand whom you're trying to build this for, right? What is the connection between that human being and that product? And what are you going to do about it? When I was doing my own startup, and when I went to the design school and did the design thinking sessions there, wherein I clearly got an understanding of how do you tackle creativity. We know, right? Creativity comes from birth. But here's a process wherein you streamline the whole process in set of sequence of events. And I think that's what Virupaksh is going to tell you further. But I think the empathy part is the connection between the customer, the user, as well as the product. Back to you, Virupaksh.
Thank you, Sanjay. So it's a real life technique used by everyone, and you have to come up with a point of view. And I don't know whether you can see the screen completely.
Yes, I can see it. Yeah.
You can see it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just moving the video around a bit. So the main thing is, when you know what the problem is, it's very easy to solve it, right? But many times you have to ask yourself, do you really know the true problem? Can you reframe the problem, put it in the view of, the user actually and how they're thinking about the problem? So you have to capture certain findings, and these are some tools, templates we have given you. You'll look at that at the end of this deck as well.
Right.
You need to capture their needs, derive some insights from that, and then lay out the problem statement clearly in this particular manner. How might we, HMW, how might we, solve a particular problem for a particular stakeholder to achieve certain results in a very interesting and, unique way. So that's the way you have to clearly list it. Now I'm keeping it very short and sweet, but you can see this video.
No, I think it's a very critical point in the whole exercise, right? Even though it looks so simple, the wordings, but I think when you really practice it for your problem and the solution you're trying to build, I think it's a mantra, right? It's a mantra to begin and start your whole journey. It looks so simple, but I think it's the most powerful part of the whole tech,
right?
The whole process.
Absolutely. So there are many techniques behind this, but this is the simplest technique. You can go through like in 3 minutes. You can probably sit down together and identify certain things. In another 3 minutes, you can come up with some insights. In another 3 minutes, define the problem statement. So now let's look at the next stage. Okay, let's say you started off this whole exercise. You came up with so many different problem sets, narrowed it to one problem, right? One area that you want to focus on. But now you need to ideate. So now again, you have to diverge. You have to go out and think broadly of all the possible ideas you can as programmers, as users. No idea is trivial, okay? Just capture all the ideas you have, focus on quantity, get as many quantity of ideas as possible, use stickies or use pictures, charts, and put them on the wall, whiteboarding or drawing. Just scratch it on a piece of paper, but focus on hundreds of ideas. Don't go for the first 10 or 20, 30. Go beyond that. In the first 30 ideas will probably come in first 10 minutes. But after that, really starts those interesting ideas. And those interesting ideas you need to categorize or bucketize into different categories. Now let's look at the next step, which is, you know, all this is happening. You're writing stuff on the whiteboard. You're taking these ideas, but now you need to narrow it down again from a divergent point of view to one or two ideas which you want to test. These ideas are prototypes that you need to build. And these ideas could be prototyped in simple ways. Sometimes you use paper prototypes. Sometimes you make, you know, sketches, diagrams. Maybe you can sit together with your friends and role play, do some body storming. There are many techniques available. And it will not take too long once you imagine the role of the user. So now I'm going to pass it to Sanjay, who has some great examples here.
So, Virupaksh, I need 2 minutes time. I need to get the charger.
Sure.
Why don't you just continue, and I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry, no problem.
No problem. No problem at all. Okay, so what you see here in the picture at least is quick prototyping. So you got a lot of ideas. You're doing some quick prototyping. There are very short timelines. And why is this important? Think about it, right? I mean, Google, Facebook, everybody uses this technique. And the technique is fail fast, fail early, and in my view, fail cheaply and fail often as well, so that you can learn quickly. So FFFC is the concept, and you're applying that in prototyping. And Google, Facebook, every one of these companies now, they've started believing in this because you save a lot of money and you move very fast through the development cycle. So design thinking can be a website, you know, a simple website with paper prototype. It can be a snowplow. It can be, you know, like a paper diagram. And there are some examples given here in video form that we can play back, and you can see, you know, what those are. Now, given the short time, I'm not going to play back these videos, but please do click on these when you get a chance and try to, you know, go through the prototype. Now, let's look at, you know, one important thing, that you have to test the idea. You know, the prototype will be there, but you can't assume that that prototype is going to work. You need to iteratively go round and round and, you know, go through the whole cycle of testing the idea, identifying the core features and experience, gathering the feedback, and then gathering the usage data. I hope that kind of gives you a sense of testing. So prototyping and testing together can actually be called pretotyping as well. Okay, guys, so we were looking at the testing approach, you know, pretotyping or prototyping and testing approach, and I'd like to show you a quick video to explain that concept. So here, this is the same thing from the D Labs. We are going to see a quick short video.
Adam and Francisco have been building the first prototypes of their solutions for the challenge. Now they're ready to put them to a test. Adam's prototype might not look very polished, but he's confident that he will learn a lot when showing it to others to gather their feedback. Note that Adam is encouraging this tester to interact with the prototype and click on the different links, which he simulates with paper and Post-its. Adam's attitude when testing his prototype is very important. His goal is not to convince this person of how great his idea is. He's open-minded and really wants to learn what does and doesn't work. Adam's prototype did not work well in the many tests he performed, but he's not concerned. After all, he hasn't spent a lot of time and resources building it, so he does not feel attached to this idea. What he treasured is what he learned, and he's eager to build a new prototype. Or perhaps he'll go back to his brainstorm and harvest a new idea. In the meantime, Francisco learned a lot from testing his prototype with students and decides that he needs to talk to teachers and observe a class in action to learn more about the problem and his proposed solution.
Great. So what you saw there is a quick example of taking brainstormed ideas, narrowing it down, testing the idea, and it's a cyclic evolutionary circle. So you'll keep trying out a few ideas. Maybe the first one or two will not work out. There's one more from Google here. I'm not going to play it, but you should definitely go take a look at the different types of testing. It's very interesting.
Correct.
So in summary, all the problems are not, today there are many problems in the world. They're not very well defined. And design thinking is very good in this case. And for example, this hackathon that we are running, we have a bunch of challenges for you. They're not very well defined for you, but they generally tell you about the problem area that we're trying to solve. So you need to take that problem, convert it to a real world, reframed problem based on your interactions with us. Come up with your thoughts, interview people around, ask other people, create kind of an empathy map, and then convert that into some ideations, some brainstorming ideas that can be tested as prototypes. So I hope that makes sense to you. Prototyping or pretotyping, as Google calls it many times, is done using tools and skills available in the room. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to go outside. Use whatever is available, the paper, pencil, whiteboard, whatever is available. Just start testing and trying out these ideas. That initial appeal that comes in from simulating it and the core experience will give you insights into what you should do without spending too much money and time. And all of us are capable of innovating, so please refer to these techniques. I've shared another document with you which explains some of the videos and the techniques and resources that are available to you, all free online, so please use it and progress through this course. Now, what would you do after this? The first thing you would do is define the problem statement, right? And this is kind of the template for the problem statement. So we have just shared this with you. Clearly write who you are. I am so-and-so, or I am this person, right, as a stakeholder. And what are you trying to do? What is the outcome that you want from this exercise? What are the roadblocks or barriers you're facing? And because of what root causes or problems? And what is it making you feel? Like, are you feeling angry, upset, unhappy, frustrated? All those emotions have to be written as your problem statement. And once you have that, you convert it into something of an empathy map. And this is an empathy map example. So as you talk to people, write down what you hear, write down what they are saying or doing actually, what they are feeling about, and what you are actually observing. So your observations and their feelings will give you some great insights about their pains, about what they want to gain from this whole solution. And those insights will be surprising, and many times you'll feel like, wow, I never expected this to be the real problem behind it. And you'll solve something wonderful. So once you define the problem statement and write it down clearly in some format like this, then you'll essentially start brainstorming. And this is kind of an example of a whiteboarded brainstorming template. You'll just start taking the challenge in the center and start ideating with a group of people. Maybe ask some people to think wild ideas, crazy ideas, while others are thinking about, very possible and feasible ideas. But always go for quantity, very high level of ideas. And once you have that, select one or two prototypes that you want to go after, something that you feel you can develop in the next 24 hours. Put it down on this concept map. And once you have the concept map, then you're basically testing with paper or websites or whatever POC, proof of concept, you can develop. Now, if you can code and create a code base, that's the best, because we'll be able to tell you whether that, experience makes sense for us. And when you make that pitch statement to us, the pitching of the idea and the solution, it would be very easy to show off the idea and explain the benefits of it. So Sanjay, now I'm going to pass it back to you, and you can talk to the students and the participants a little bit about, the tips that they should follow.
Absolutely. Virupash, I think this was a great presentation on the design thinking. So friends, when you are taking your challenges, right, looking at your challenges, I think the way Virupash has emphasized on the template standpoint, go ahead and write. Really understand what you think and write on a piece of paper, right? Who you are, what you're trying to do, what kind of barriers you think you have. And then in the empathy map, when you come in, where the users had. Why is this challenge given to you in the first place, right? What kind of business problem are we trying to solve? When we are doing a multi-tenant applications or SaaS applications, how much empathy needs to be, we need to really focus on, right, in coming up with your solutions. Then go and start brainstorming, and like the way Virupak showed, right? The slide number 4 is, yeah, that slide. The one, the next one after that. Next one, yeah, this one. I really like the center square piece, right? Wherein what is the core idea you're trying to solve? What is the key problem you're going to solve? And take it from there and build your solutions from that standpoint onwards. And I really like it. So I would look forward to your updates on this presentation. When you post your details of your solution in the Dropbox, I would like to see something scribbled on this piece of sheet which you are going to update it. So anyways, good luck for you for tomorrow's 24-hour hackathon, and we wish you all the success. And we are looking forward for some great leaders coming out of this whole exercise. Thank you again. Right? Thank you, Virupaksh.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.